Knife making is sort of like trucking, long haul trucking. You have a lot of time to think. And I'm sitting here sanding on this knife. This is the giveaway knife. It's coming out pretty good. I like the handles. I'm fixing to start with 320. Looking good, looking good. Not perfect. Some flaws I see, maybe somebody else may not see them. But anyway, I'm sitting here thinking, and I got to thinking about a couple of things that happened to me when I was with Forward Air. And it involves people who have this odd sense, unexplainable sense of entitlement. And I'm not talking about age, because one incident involves somebody my age, and the other incident does involve somebody who was at the time in their early 20s. The first one was with the company I worked for, Forward Air. They had shops, garages, mechanics on site, and big, mechanic shop buildings. Really nice. Forward Air was a great company. So when you come into a terminal, you would head right to the... actually, no, I'm wrong. You would, if you had a loaded trailer, you would go drop it. And if it hadn't been through the inspection bay, when it got empty, one of the yard dogs would pull it through the inspection bay, and the mechanics would check lights, check brakes, look for any mechanical malfunctions that would need to be fixed before they loaded it and sent it back out on the road. And if you were picking up it empty, you couldn't leave the yard unless you drug it through the bay. And anyway, one of the mechanics had this motorcycle in the shop that he would work on in his off hours. He would punch out and then work on his motorcycle a little bit, because that's where all his tools were. And they didn't mind, as long as, they didn't start building up boats and junk cars everywhere. They didn't have a problem with a small project. Well, he got it running and got it all, fixed up, and was in the process of saving some money to get it registered and a license plate on it, and it was still in the shop. Well, one of the night shift mechanics thought it would be okay to crank this motorcycle up, not knowing anything about whether there was oil in the engine or whether there was something the guy still had to fix, and ride it around. It didn't belong to him. Nobody gave him permission. He knew that the guy was working on it. It was a project. And he jumped on this motorcycle and was riding it around in the terminal and was going faster and faster and faster. And of course, he wrecked and destroyed the motorcycle. And that guy didn't think he did anything wrong. He didn't think he should have to pay for it. And he made all kinds of excuses. Well, it was in the shop. It didn't belong there. Shouldn't have been there. If it wasn't there, I wouldn't have took it. That kind of thing. Sort of like if you weren't standing in front of my bullet, you wouldn't have got shot. That kind of logic. And, of course, they fired the guy, and they didn't give him his last couple of paychecks. That wasn't enough to pay for the motorcycle, but that's just one of the examples I was thinking about. Entitled people, the entitlement mentality. And at some point in our raising children, at some point in our history here in America, parents stopped teaching children that they were responsible for their actions and started teaching children and making excuses for children. It's okay, baby. You lost the game, but you're still going to get a trophy because you tried or you participated. And that's the mentality. There's another one. And, I'm not picking on a generation. I'm picking on a mindset, an attitude. Same place, exact same terminal. I was parked in my truck, and another guy backed into me, truck driver, backed into me, and started taking off. I jumped out, I ran after him, and I said, "Hey, dude, you just backed in me. You hit me." And he gets out, mad in hell that I had the audacity to stop him from driving away after hitting me. He didn't deny hitting me, He just didn't think he should be responsible for it. I'm not kidding. I was at a complete loss as to how to deal with this. And it got to the point where it was escalating, gonna be a fist fight. I was that mad. He was that mad that I was gonna make him be responsible for the damage he caused. And at that point, I had to stop myself. I was making $250,000 a year, 250, 260 at that job every year, making good money. Best job I ever had, most money I ever made. So I had to ask myself, do I want to pursue this and quite likely lose my job here? You know, I was an owner-operator, but I would lose my contract with them instantly, overnight. They would escort me from the property for fighting. Or do I want to lose my job, or do I want to pay for this damage and just get on with life and chalk this up as one of those memories I'll recall when I'm sitting in my shop sanding on a knife? And that's what I chose to do. That guy didn't last very long at that company because that type of attitude was magnified in everything he did. You know, I don't have to be on time because, well, I'm special, and I got sleepy, or I didn't prepare before this run. I partied the night before and didn't get my sleep. So rather than me suffer, I made you and all the thousands of customers that are on this trailer, you know, whose stuff is on this trailer, suffer. Just a little bit of memory I had, and sometimes the memories I have, the little lessons I've learned, the little insights into people's psyche, their personality, sometimes they do make me mad all over again. I'm thinking back, you know, I would have loved to have just punched that guy in his nose and knocked him on his ass and beat a few $100s worth of damage out of him that I had to pay for. But, of course, by that time, I'm well past the impulsive age, and I was thinking about my, you know, the amount of money I made every year and the amount of toys I had to pay for. So, yeah, I'm sure we all have those stories that when we're quiet and we're doing something where our mind has a chance to wander and there's no TV or internet bothering us, and we look back on things that we remember and just still puzzle us as to how, what changed, when did it change, who changed it, how did so many people come into existence that don't think they're responsible for their actions. And other people should change their lives to accommodate them and just accept the bad things, their bad behavior, and just accept it. almost 8 minutes of me running my mouth, so I will stop. I'm going back to sanding that knife. Have a good day, y'all.